Yo guys, welcome to the video. This is Josh or Milky, and in today's video, we're going to talk about my favorite mechanic in Torchlight Infinite. It's one that I farm every season, no matter what, and that is Dream. It's come a long way. It's been in the game for, I think, like 6 or 7 seasons now, and it's gone through ups and downs. It's very different than how it was initially, at least in terms of loot, maybe not in terms of functionality. Obviously, we used to have screens and screens of FEs and fluorescent memories and what have you, and that still is technically possible, but now it's basically about the dream tokens. If you want to farm this mechanic, you're primarily doing it to farm what are called dream tokens, right? That's the big loot, that's the big money maker. So now where this stands right now amongst all the farms is it's a reasonably consistent way to make decent money. And I know that's kind of vague. It's not the best, it's not the worst, and it's okay if you've got the pet more than anything, right? That leads me nicely into the next point. I do have the pets, right?
How dare you!
So I'm going to be talking about this as someone who has the pets. I got slammed in the last video, even though I mentioned it then as well, but I'll get it out of the way immediately. I do have the pets, and I am going to talk about it with the pets in mind, and I'm also going to talk about things without the pets in mind, because I'm only talking about the mechanic. Just get that out of the way. Sorry that I have to do that for people that don't give a shit, but, you know, people lose their mind in Torchlight comment sections. Yeah, so, should you farm this mechanic? Basically, with where it stands right now, you either farm it because you need dream tokens, you farm it because it's one of the pets you have, or you farm it because you really enjoy it, right? Those would be the three things. Me personally, I farm it because I really enjoy it, and I do have the pet. And I just think it's one of the most fun mechanics to do. And why do I think that? Well, mechanically, it's just pretty cool. It's like you have to do a bit of thinking, right? There's a bit of puzzle to solve. It's still within map. It adds mobs. So it's a good blend of all the things that I like. But we'll go in and we'll show like what you're going to see when you start doing the dream mechanic. I can't show you. I don't think I have an initial one ready to show here, but we can talk about that as well. So you're going to click on this. It's called the Sweet Dream like pylon or whatever, and you're going to get given an omen. Now, I'm on floor 3. You would obviously start on floor 1, and on floor 1, you will get a selection that gives you something that looks like this, and that is the initial sweet dream that you're going to start with. And what that's going to do is it's basically going to give you some guidance on your run and what you're going to want to look for to make the run better. These range from many different things, the best being adding 4 rainbow bubbles, all the way down to like upgrading the quality of your bubble when you remove one or something like that, like some of the worst ones. But basically, they'll just give you some direction. The main ones you're going to be looking for, like your bread and butter, I'll have on the screen here. We have the S tier ones, we have the A tier ones, but your bread and butter ones are going to be pretty much what I have here, which is upgrade when changing quality and upgrade when changing type, because they're just the most common and they're normally paired with ones that you wouldn't want to take. Quite frankly, that's just how it goes. But there are some really, really good ones. So, for example, adds 4 rainbow bubbles, repeat the sweet dream omen. That might not make sense to you right now, but we'll get into that in a second. Red commodity bubble per 3 red per commodity bubbles means for every 3 of your bubbles here, for however many are commodities, you'll get 1 red per 3, right? Red being the highest tier rarity other than rainbow. Then you have ones like fill empty slots with yellow bubbles. As I said, our main focus is dream tokens, and you can only drop dream tokens in yellow and above bubbles. Then there's one that's 100% chance for 2-tier upgrades on all your bubbles, and then it loses 10% chance to be upgraded for each empty slot. This is per bubble. It doesn't just turn it all off if you roll badly, but this is like if you fill with 12, then they'll all get upgraded twice. And if you fill like 11, then they'll all have 90% chance to get upgraded twice. So those are the really, really good ones. And then you have things like this, obviously, as I said, upgrade when changing quality or type, and then like 45% chance to upgrade commodities. And this one can go up to rainbow. As for the rarity, it goes white, blue, purple, yellow, red, rainbow. Okay, obviously rainbow being the best. You can add rainbows with stuff like this dream within a dream. If you do 3 of these, you'll get a rainbow commodity bubble. Basically, you click this, and then the next one, it'll reappear again, and then it'll appear again. So it basically takes 3 of your turns to get one rainbow commodity bubble. That's pretty much what this does, even though it looks a bit weird. To get rainbow bubbles, you do need to use this tree right here. So this is the meta progression associated with this mechanic. It's called the Dream Cloud Atlas, as you can see here. And you need to spec Splendor in order to get rainbow bubbles, which, as I mentioned, with the highest tier. Now, we'll go more into this in a second, as we're obviously talking first about the initial Dream Omen. Then the rest would be things like 45% chance to upgrade any bubble. Obviously, I isolated commodities here, but they can get that for any of the bubbles. Those being like Black Sail, Fluorescent Memory, Nether Realm, Whim, which is important. We'll talk about Whim in a second. Gear, and then red bubble per 3 of whatever, right? A red X per 3 of X, and then gain all bubbles that were removed. It's situationally very good. If you start with like a high tier bubble and you can start some kind of removal cycle, then it can be really, really good. There's one that's like remove a bubble and add 2 of it back, and then you'll get it back again at the end, and you can see how it can go, right? You can get remove and dupe. There's some good instances where this one can be good, but very, very rarely. I've had some pop off runs with it, but very like maybe 3 or 4 times a season, even. So that's the initial one, and that's what you want to look out for. And the reason you want to look out for those is the basic overarching strategy of Dream is to raise your bubbles to a high level, and then duplicate/add bubbles that are the same tier as the ones you already have. Those being at least yellow and above, as I mentioned, to get Dream tokens. That's basically the goal with what you're selecting here, right? You see this one causes all yellows. This one just gives you a lot of red commodities, and commodities are the best bubble. Repeat Sweet Dream Omen just basically means everything you click here happens twice, which makes it very, very consistent to get a good run. And then obviously adding 4 rainbow bubbles is always going to be a good run. So there's the initial one out of the way. And after that, you'll get a number of floors until you enter the Nightmare. This will get increasingly more likely to enter the Nightmare as you go. You'll get to select a Sweet Dream Omen that changes the bubbles. So you have one here that's like change the type of 2 bubbles to commodity, right? And upgrades their quality by 1. So this would be a good one because we want our bubbles to be higher tier and we want them to be commodities. So this would be a great selection. You can see it also comes with a downside. You can check if these are relevant. Normally, I don't really look at them, but you can if you think something's going to break your build. You can keep an eye on it. Obviously, we mentioned Dream Within a Dream to get a guaranteed rainbow. But the idea, as I said, was to upgrade these high, and then there are options. Let's see if I can get one here. Well, there's replicate, right? Removes half your bubbles and replicates your remaining bubbles with a chance to upgrade their quality by 1. So you could click that, and then you'd potentially have a red bubble because they would get duplicated and become red, or you could even go remove bubbles until only 1 is left, turns it to red, makes a copy of it, so then I'd have 2 red bubbles on floor 3, which is also very, very good. Or I could go with Dream Within a Dream and do and spend 3 of my goes to get this. I'll go with this middle one because it's so early that I know I can dupe this a lot of times, so this could potentially be like 12 red bubbles if I play my cards right. So you may be thinking when I tabbed on over to this page, why are you missing a slot? And the answer for that is based on what I just told you. The goal is to upgrade a bubble to the highest tier and then replicate it or add bubbles the same level as that one. To do that, you need to land upgrades on a specific bubble multiple times more often than not. Which means if you start with 4 bubbles, that's more difficult to do. If you start with 3 bubbles, it's much, much easier. If you start with 2, it's even easier, but then you don't start with at least blue or better, so you can get some, you get more bad runs basically that way. These 2 upgrades are in my opinion, worth the extra bubble. Especially since sometimes there are going to be ones that you select where you want more bubbles. For example, going back to something like 100% chance for 2 upgrades, but you have to fill everything. If you only have 2 bubbles, then you have to get 10 extra bubbles to fill that one. There's some outcomes like getting 3 per 3 commodity that you want more bubbles for to turn them all into commodity. There's some situations where you would want more, so I find 3 to be a good middle ground. There are some arguments that if you don't have the pet, you should go with 4 and focus primarily on using something like this. And these, as the raise duplicate strategy for you, will be a bit more inconsistent due to not having the rerolls. So you could try that if you're having a bad luck with the raise duplicate strategy. You could spec that 4th node and focus more on the red X per 3X bubble, omens and see how that treats you for sure. But as for the rest of it, just click everything. I leave off the XP because, who levels in this game outside of just purposefully leveling in like Time Mark 8 or whatever. Then you get all the drop quan and damage and what. Oh, sorry, it's just damage. Yeah, there is drop quan still. There it is. Yeah, click all that. You're good to go. Now, let me just run through this map real quick so I can get back and show you the Atlas tree. In the map, by the way, what's going to happen, obvious I should show you that, is the dial at the top is going to fill, and you're going to kill all these like blue monsters that are on your minimap. There's blue dots. Just farm the blue dots. And that's eventually going to make it so the dream ends, and you're going to be able to select the next dream omen. There it is. And you can click this here. I normally just wait until the next map to do this. But I guess I could show you an example here of what we got next. I actually got Dream Within a Dream again, which is crazy. And you can see my chance to go in went up by to 10%. Now, these would be quite bad, right? Upgrade the quality to the same as the highest. Well, that's already, you can see they're both red, so that won't do anything. But you can see why this would be a good example if I had like one red and two blues, right? This would be a really good selection. Or if I had a rainbow or something. Here, this is a pretty bad one. Like, I guess I just go Dream Within a Dream and hope I don't go in on the next selection. I'm sure if you've done Dream before, you'll know how painful that can be if you pick Dream Within a Dream and immediately go into the Nightmare. So let's talk about the Netherrealm passives and how they affect the Dream. There's only 28 points that you're typically going to take on the Nightmare tree, unless you're taking the 15 that mean you don't need to use the compass. And the primary goal here is to both increase the quantity and to make it so you're less likely to enter the Nightmare. Both of these massively increase the loot. First of all, you can get it so that the downside associated with whatever sweet dream omen you take becomes 20% additional drop quantity. You can get multiple of these, making it incredibly, incredibly strong. So that downside becomes an upside that gives you 20% more loot, right? It's not, yeah, it's just more. It's just a multiplier to your loot. Very, 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 very strong. You can get this twice, so you're quite likely to get this when all said and done, right? 20% and 20%. Then the others are chance to not enter the Nightmare. This is obviously important because as you go further into a dream or before entering the Nightmare, each round gets progressively better. So that's why the pet is so good, right? You get that extra round at the end when you enter the Nightmare. Every single round gets better and better because round 1, you got nothing. Round 2, you're working on getting a red bubble. Round 3, maybe you got a yellow bubble. Round 4, you got a red bubble. Round 5 is when you could start maybe going into the Nightmare. So you really don't want to go in, so you can start playing with that red bubble and getting more of them. Round 6, well, now you've got 2 red bubbles. So what if I do both of those? Round 7, more. Round 8, more. You see how it goes, right? You just get more and more options, and it becomes better and better. Maybe it plateaus a little bit as you get up to like round 10 or something. But yeah, you can see how it gets better and better to have more rounds. So that's why you want to click these nodes. This node right here is probably the one of the best nodes on the tree, but it wouldn't read like it, right? 10% chance to add one Nightmare monster that can drop Queen's Grace. What it fails to mention is that it can also drop Dream Talkings, which are primarily what we're looking for, right? This is a warning. If you don't have the pet, cover your ears. Come back in 30 seconds, all right? If you have the pet, I have a recommendation for you, and that is that you have a keybind set up to swap to your dream pets. If you see this mob in the map, swap to your dream pets because the additional dream token drop quantity applies to the monster in your map, and it drops a lot more dream tokens. Torchlight 40% and what is actually 40% are apparently very different, because you get considerably more dream tokens after swapping. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay, and then you would hotkey back to your fuel pets and go about your business in the map. If you don't have the pet and you heard that, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Pets are good. Then there is one other node right here. And it's only good for the card it adds. When selecting a Dream Omen, there is a chance that all Nightmare Omens will become additional drop quantity. So there's a card, it's a rainbow card, and it makes it so that you guarantee when you open the Omen, the downside will be 70% additional drop quantity. That is crazy, and there is some cheesy strategy you can do with that, and you may have seen screenshots of it or videos. Basically what you do is you go into each of your profound time mark areas and you spawn this card, but don't complete it. You go into the 5th one until you spawn the dream that says add 4 rainbow bubbles. Once you've done that, you go back to do all the cards that give 70% drop quant, so you have 4 guaranteed rainbow bubbles and 70% additional quant 4 times. So 4 rainbow bubbles times 1.7 times 1.7 times 1.7 times 1.7 more loot, right? So you may have seen that before. It takes an extremely long time to set up. It's complete cheese, not worth doing. But you may have seen people post screenshots of it and thought, what the hell is going on? Well, there you go. It's been revealed to you. That is what's going on. You can kind of cheese it and get some TikTok loot explosions. As for the rest, again, Dream doesn't really scale with anything that we would want to get on it. It doesn't scale with Quant, doesn't really care about anything. It's just its own island of 28 points or 32 points or whatever you want to do with it that doesn't really have anything to do with anything else. So you can pretty much pair it with anything. Now, I would say obviously the Nightmare does scale with Quant, so time mark matters. You don't really want to do Dream in time mark 7, but time mark 8 and above I think is fair game. Like, you're not going to get the most Dream tokens in the world in time mark 8, but it doesn't take that long. You've got a fast enough build, absolutely worth doing. I did it in time mark 8. I do have the pet. But if you have at least pet level 1, I'd say it's worth doing in time mark 8 to get that additional flow of Dream tokens, especially since you're adding that mob to your map that can also add Dream tokens as well. Now, in terms of the loot, we briefly spoke about, obviously, the Dream... Well, we've spoke many times about the Dream tokens since they're so important. Okay, so let's now talk about the overarching strategy of what exactly it is you're trying to achieve with all these things. So, you get your initial selection, then you're trying to build high-tier bubbles, get red bubbles, duplicate them. One thing that I failed to mention was Whim Bubbles. So Whim Bubbles are a special type that count as every other bubble, and these are going to be your saving grace on your runs, right? They count as gear bubbles, they count as black sail bubbles, they count as fluorescent memory bubbles, they count as commodity bubbles, they drop everything. They're not as good as commodity bubbles, obviously, but because they count as everything, they give you a ton more outs. So you have your Sweet Dream Omens that are like duplicate gear. If you didn't have any Whim Bubbles and you didn't have any gear bubbles, they'd be pretty useless. Or if you had low tier gear bubbles, they'd be useless. But if you have high tier Whim Bubbles, any duplicate can duplicate the Whim Bubble. So it's a very, very, very strong way to get a lot of high tier bubbles is by changing them into Whim Bubbles. So your goal is to change them either into commodity, high tier commodity, or high tier Whim. Those are the two you're aiming for. The rest do not matter unless you absolutely need them for whatever selection it is you chose. The red X per 3X that we spoke about earlier. Or chance to upgrade any bubble. This also works with whims, by the way. 45% chance to upgrade any black sail bubble is 45% chance to upgrade a whim bubble as well. So a way to get rainbow whim bubbles is to take these selections and upgrade whims to level to red level, and then they can get upgraded to rainbow. This is something I do very, very often. It's one of like the bog standard runs you'll do. You'll just pick this 45% chance because the other options are doo-doo, and you'll go for rainbow whims as you'll try and get rainbow whims. So that's the overall strategy with whims. Lastly, we need to talk about the loot. We spoke about it very, very many times in this video, and that is Dream Talkings. They're pretty much all of your money, aside from some FE stacks here and there. Most of it's going to come from the AGC. This is what I farmed today, 162. That's like 3,000 FEs worth of Dream Talkings. Why are these good, you may be asking? And aside from just crafting your items, they can be used because of mirror items this league. If you don't know, Torchlight does have mirror items, and this league, they are even crazier than they've ever been before. There's many examples. Let's try to find like the most obvious. There we go. There we go. Perishing Inferno Flame Ring. Immune to Curse. Focus Blessing +1. Focus Blessing +1. Focus Blessing -1. Why is it -1? Well, there is a new Kismet this league that flips your negative dreams. So when you dream something, you get a positive, you get a negative. In this instance, the positive is Focus Blessing +1. The negative is Focus Blessing -1. But with the Kismet, that becomes just Focus Blessing +2. So people need an extremely high amount of Dream Tokens, of course, to make these items. Those don't just happen by accident. I mean, sometimes they will, and people will like buy the base and re-imprint it. But a lot of these will be rolled by the crafters themselves, and they will be absolutely burning through Dream Token. So they're always going to be valuable as long as people are trying to make mirror tier items. How this base exists, I have no idea. Immune to Curse and a Focus Blessing. There's also Immune to Curse, Timid. Like how some of these bases exist is beyond me, but there they are. They do exist. And if you were unfamiliar with the mirror market of Torchlight Infinite, well, now you've been blessed by knowing it exists and how painfully poor we all are compared to these people. So I hope this rambly little session helped you understand Dream a bit more. I love Dream. I do it every league. The dream pet, you know, it's something I got myself when it came out. I got a couple of levels of it. I upgraded it over time with like SS20 and what have you. And this league is when I got my final SS20, actually SS15 because I missed an SS20, so I get it every league on 15. That got me my level 6 dream pet. So you can do it too over time, of course, or whale for it or whatever. Don't let me tell you what to do. But the one thing I will tell you to do is have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.